Welcome back, you guys. My name is Carlos, and we are here located at the Tall Cat Studios. I am here, no one other than the executive TV producer, Bob Adlhoch. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Carlos. Thanks for having me.
How was the drive?
No, not too bad.
Nice. And so we're going to go with our first question. What is your favorite Phoenix Suns team since you've been broadcasting?
It's hard to pick just one team. I've been covering the Suns for such a long time, but I think I would have to say my heart is with that 04-05 team. It was the year that Steve Nash was re-signed. He had been drafted by the Suns, of course, been traded to Dallas, and then came back as a free agent in 04-05. And it was, the prior season was not great. I think they'd won 20-some games. And for Nash to come back and essentially have mostly the same team around it, Joe Johnson, Sean Murray, and Mari Stoudemire, it was, we weren't ready. We didn't know what to expect. And they really took the league by storm. They ended up winning 62 games, which at the time tied the franchise record. Last year's team broke that record. But it was just, it was amazing to watch, and it was so different from anything that was going on in the league at the time. They shot what seemed like 1,000,000 threes every game. Now, I think compared to last year, they would have been the last or second to last in the league in threes per game. But in 04-05, it was such a revolutionary thing that you were actually going to take all these 3-point shots. And just the creativity of Steve Nash too. On a night-to-night basis, you didn't know what you were going to see when you went to the gym. So that was pretty special.
The NBA is transitioning to sharpshooters, right? Three-pointers are more accustomed nowadays. Of course, we have to thank Steph Curry as well for doing that. He's changed the game by storm as well. And so I have another question. What is your advice to up-and-coming journalists trying to get into your position?
Well, I think everybody wants to have just sort of an easy phrase to say, just do this, or I don't think that there's a magic anything other than just hard work. I think you have to be very committed to do what you want to do. You have to have a passion for it, because it's just too competitive of a field to not really be 100% committed to what you're doing. And I guess I'd say for a young journalist or a young prospective media member, I would say expose yourself to a lot of things, try a lot of different things, take internships, even if it's doing something that you don't really think it's what you want to do. Getting out there and seeing what the working world is like and getting to experience a lot of different roles will help you decide. I started out thinking that I wanted to be a broadcaster. When I was your age, I didn't really know that the job I have now existed. Like most people, I'd watch sports on TV and I'd see the announcers. I didn't really think too much about how, who was choosing the camera angles and the replays and who was putting together the specialty graphics or anything like that. So when I got to college, I was still kind of on that path. I took an internship covering a minor league baseball team and getting to work with the TV crew, and it really opened my eyes. And it wasn't long after that I kind of realized I think this is what I want to do. So those are the two things, just to sum it up. Work hard. There's no replacement for that. Work hard. And then the other thing is just be open to a lot of different experiences and work internships.
Being open-minded, right? We were talking about how ASU, they never really had the resources when you first joined them, right, as a part of now. But I was going to ask you, how has the landscape changed from when you joined to now? Definitely a lot more.
Well, I mean, I'm an old guy now, so a lot of things have changed. And I wouldn't say that ASU didn't have the resources when I was there. I think for the time, they were still very cutting edge. The Tempe campus that I went to, the Cronkite School was housed right next to Channel 8, like it is now downtown. The technology is I think more than anything what's changed. We had big clunky cameras that excuse me, big clunky cameras that shot 4x3 video, that we were working with tape and not just digital files. So the transition to high definition, the transition to a fully digital landscape have been really big changes. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up.
Also, I want to say something right here. I appreciate you joining us onto the podcast right here, for sharing your, the information, everything like that as well. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Carlos.
Also, we have to talk about, between the Steve Nash era, we have to talk about Charles Barkley, also Devin Booker. What is your favorite, I would say, like team, like organization kind of style, like behind the works?
I'm not sure I understand, which group of players, like which group?
Behind, not the players themselves, but the team that you worked with.
Oh,
yes.
Well, I mean, I don't, I've been pretty fortunate that this will be my 22nd season working for the Suns,
yes.
And there are at least 5 members of our broadcast staff that have been there longer than I have.
Right.
So in large part, there are people within the organization and in our broadcast group that were there for the Barkley, KJ, Marley, Tom Chambers era, flowed right into the Nash, Stoudemire, Marion, Shaq, Grant Hill era, and are still around for the present era. So yeah, I mean, been fortunate to have really, really great teammates and coworkers all through that. So yeah, they're kind of one and the same. Sorry, that didn't.
No, it answers the question as well. I want to transition kind of away from sports. I want to kind of get to know you more as a person. What are some hobbies that you do outside of your job?
Yikes. Well, I have 2 kids. The oldest of which is 20. She's 23 and a Cronkite school graduate. Right. My youngest is 18 and is a freshman at Cronkite. So I would say for the last 20 some years, that's kind of been my hobbies. I've been just trying to stay involved with what they do. My daughter played basketball. She was a cheerleader. In middle school, she ran cross country and played everything really. And my son, we kept forcing him to play sports other than basketball. Right. But that was his love.
The one that stuck, right?
Yeah, that was the one that stuck. So it's been a lot of AAU tournaments and practices and things like that have taken up a lot of our spare time. I love sports, so I like to watch and play all kinds of sports. I don't play as many now because the hamstrings don't hold up like they used to.
Yeah.
Actually, the last time I tried to play in a 3-on-3 tournament, I tore a calf muscle. So that was my official retirement.
You got to take it easy,
Yeah, I had to take it easy. But I like to play golf. I like to read. I like music, concerts, things like that. I like to spend time with my family. Also,
on your LinkedIn bio, it says you like to travel. Is there any places that you like particularly?
Well, I do. I mean, I'm grateful that I get the opportunity to travel with the Suns, and so I've been to every NBA city, a few dozen times. Yeah, I like to give almost anywhere a try. Hawaii is nice for sure. They don't have an NBA team yet, but yeah, I like all over I can't think of a place I've been that I haven't gotten something out of the experience. So to me, saying that I like to travel is less about where I'm going and then more so just the process of going somewhere, being around a new environment, eating different kinds of food, meeting different kinds of people.
Gaining that experience, that culture, right, from different types of people, different types of places as well.
Yeah.
And so I want to ask you, what is your philosophy on, so you've been with the broadcast team for over 2 decades now. What is your philosophy? Is it the same from when you first started, or is it changed? Like what's your philosophy in general?
Well, anytime I go talk to students at ASU or anywhere, usually I'm talking to journalism students, and I'd say the best way I can answer this is just to say that what I say to them is, I'm not a journalist. I have a journalism degree, but I'm not a journalist. I work for a team. My job is to tell the stories of the team that I work for. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have, some sort of journalistic guidance in what we do, but in our broadcasts, we're not there really to be breaking news. we're there to tell the story as the team wants it told. Which means, that we're going to be more positive about our young players. And several years ago when the team wasn't winning a lot of games, we had a lot of young players on the team. And what we would try to do night to night is to help introduce those players to our viewers and really highlight and accentuate the good things that they did and kind of give them an idea of what these players could grow into over the years.
Of course.
So as far as philosophy, I mean, my philosophy is when people are watching a game on TV, they want to see the game.
Okay.
Sometimes I think we could just put up the one camera, that just pans back and forth and keeps all 10 players in there and the score, and people would be happy. We add all these other things, I think, a lot for ourselves, different camera angles, replay angles, specialty graphics. We try to drop in sideline reporters telling stories. All of that can enhance the show, I think, but ultimately people want to see the game. That's why they're watching.
And to elaborate on that, what would you say like your favorite memory with the Phoenix Suns would be, or just in general with any sports team that you've worked with? I know it's kind of a broad question, kind of a challenging question, but if you have one experience you'd like to elaborate on.
Well, the trip to the finals in 2021 was hard to beat. That was really much like I had said earlier that 04-05 team was a bit of a surprise getting Nash back. We thought we'd be better, but we weren't really prepared for what that team ended up becoming. And same thing with that 2021 Suns team. Chris Paul had come in the offseason, Jay Crowder had come in the offseason, a few other minor roster changes, but basically it was the growth of Booker and Ayton and Bridges and Cam Johnson and Cameron Payne and some of these other guys. And we went from not having made the playoffs the year before to all of a sudden we were up 2-0 in the NBA Finals. So that was a pretty neat experience. And I got to go to one of the games in Milwaukee as well and just, kind of watch it as a fan. And that was definitely up there on the all-timer list.
It's definitely crazy to experience like the fan relationship towards the Phoenix Suns these past few years. We have a crazy fan base, right? When you're in the stadium, everyone's going crazy as well. But I want to thank you for the interview right here. And right before we end the interview right here, I want to give you a token of my appreciation. I seen on your LinkedIn bio that you like handwritten thank you notes. So I have one for you that I want to give you real quick. Would like to give you this handwritten thank you note as appreciation of this interview and all the knowledge that you give us. Thank you so much.
You bet, Carlos. Nice to meet you.